Hey, welcome to Two Guys, a Guy, and a Podcast where a couple of guys talk with another guy about the what, when, and why in our lives. I am your host, David Weldon. And with me tonight, as always, are co-hosts Aaron and Wesley. How are we doing tonight, gentlemen?
Hello.
What's up? How's it going?
Hey. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. We did miss last week. Because I had an internet outage for 9 days, apparently.
Was it the whole 9?
I don't know.
No.
It was not. They turned it back on after 3. But I came home and I work from home hybrid. I'm a hybrid work. So I was planning on staying home from work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got a message on my phone. And this was July 1st or something like that. And it just said, we're sorry for, or we realized we didn't have internet for a few hours. Sorry, that was the first part. And then I got the message and they said, we're sorry to inconvenience you. Your service has been stopped for till July 8th. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like 8 days of no service? Just, that's insane.
They gave you the window of service, which could be, and it was 4 days short, wasn't it, of what they expected?
I mean, I typically always kind of round down with what they typically give as like an estimate.
Right.
But that just sounded so long. Like,
Did you
2 days, I would say, okay, maybe it'll be up in a day. If you say for the day, I'll say maybe 8 hours.
Did you ever find he's talking. Did you ever find out what the outage was about? Was it some hillbilly with a backhoe?
Nope. I called. So I called them and was like, "Hey, what the hell? Like, this is unacceptable. Like, I have work. That seems nuts that you're just 8 days." And they, gave me the first off. It was of course a call center in like the Philippines or India. So I was trying to like
out loud
have a conversation with them and try to figure stuff out. And then they like patched me into like their supervisor because I was like, no. I would like to know what is going on that it's going to be 8 days because I was driving up and saw like the distribution for, my street. No one's out there. There's no cables out. No one's digging. There's no construction. And I looked at a outage map and it wasn't my neighborhood. There was nothing being reported. So I was like, it's either just my house or just my street, which doesn't make sense at all.
Mm.
And then they just gave me the same exact information. Oh, they're working on something. And
Yeah.
that was it. I was like, well, can you tell me anything else? Like, no, they'll send you a message when they're done.
And the bullshit about all of it is these companies will never give you a rebate. They'll never minus the days of service that you did not have, but they'll always fuck you as soon as it's something on your behalf, because there's probably some
common
bullshit small print contract stuff where they sneak it in that, we can just kind of do whatever, we can have down service.
And the part that makes me feel that they were super incompetent is they said July 8th, and then on the 3rd, so 2 days after that, like when Wesley had messaged me, he was like, "Hey man, like I prayed that your internet would come back up." And literally that night I got a message from them saying that it was extended to July 9th.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck? And I was like, funny. So I told Wesley, it's like prayed to the wrong gods, like they just extended it. And then that's the next day. So they extended it to the 9th. The next day on the 3rd, they sent me a message saying your service has been fixed and it worked.
Lucky you.
So they were like all over the fucking place. I mean, I guess lucky me, but
not
still,
lucky
it's just
to have that.
Yeah, done. It's just the communication was just fucked. And of course, Tina's parents, they're like, "Well, this is ridiculous. Like, who else can we go with? Like Starlink."
Yeah,
that is it. And that is our other choice is fucking Starlink.
Did I mention Elon? I was like,
Elon Musk.
Well, I had talked about it, and it's just, do you have $600 to install and then get shittier service than we would with a line?
Is it shittier? I have no idea how it works. I know I know it's the satellite.
It's Wi-Fi.
Other than that, I don't know shit.
It's Wi-Fi. You're not hard lined in. At the end of the day, you are subject to constant disconnections.
Yeah, it's all satellite.
The whole draw, yeah, it's all satellite. It's just like direct TV. It's like, which one was better, direct TV or cable? It's like, well, cable's always been preferred because you don't have, if there's a storm, there's not going to be any problems.
Right.
Starlink is high-speed internet for people that don't have access to cable. Like, that's the big thing for out here for farmers and everything. They're completely disconnected. They can go get Starlink now and have fast internet, but it's still going to drop.
Yeah, I wonder how good it is. Like, I'd be curious to know, like, really how effective it is for someone in those circumstances.
I've looked into it, and from what I've read, it does a very good job with you can do everything that you would want to do, and then the comma is you will always have disconnects. So if you wanted to watch movies, send emails, stream, download, you can do all that stuff and it's really good. But if you were trying to play online games, or if you were trying to work and like be in meetings, it would be very difficult because you would just randomly drop and then have to reconnect. And they might only be like 30 seconds or a minute, but when you're playing certain games or if you're in a meeting, then those are suddenly they're unacceptable.
Sure, you could do standard office stuff, but not any high load capacity where you need Counter-Strike ping connection. You're not going to be doing that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that was my week off. I don't know what you guys did, but that was not that great.
I just like that your parents-in-law think that they can just were they expecting to switch over to something else for a couple of days? Did they think it's just something you go to the store and
well we've had problems with it's CenturyLink, right? They're notoriously awful. It's notorious awful service, but it's just like any other cable company. You don't have a choice. It's just like there is no other option here. There's not a competing person digging lines in the ground. Like, we are stuck.
Right? Yeah, that's the one thing that's kind of annoying about that whole. It's like there's what, 2 internet companies, 3? How many are there?
Basically.
Oh, you like in America? I thought you were talking about where you were at. Like, no. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a very small amount. I don't know if it's 2 or 3, but yeah, there's just like anything else, there's not many anymore.
And I'm sure they're all tied together at some point.
Right. Well, it's the infrastructure too. It's like if a company lays cable or has the rights to a certain area, like I'm pretty sure they're not going to let someone else use their equipment.
No, unless they had a merger. I mean, who owns the company can change, but who runs the cable?
Disney.
Someone's always going to run the cable. Yeah, Disney.
Like, it's always if someone ever asks you, I wonder who owns this, either through a solid or dotted line, Disney will be a part of it. That is that is the standard.
Your new Marvel internet service is brought to you by Disney.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny too.
When you have,
that's funny because I was watching. Go ahead. I was watching.
I was just going to say it always runs Marvel and Star Wars movies just a little bit faster. It's like the latency is better. You try to go on Hulu or Netflix, all of a sudden your internet just shits out.
Yeah, it's annoying, and that's one of the things that I've hated about Disney recently is they're because they're so franchise driven. Like, all their movies become franchises, right? Like, you look at Avatar now, which was to me it was a decent movie.
I liked the first Avatar. I know everyone kind of gave it a little shit when it came out, but I went and saw it twice. I really liked it.
I liked it, and then to see what they're doing with the sequels is bananas. It's the weirdest.
Did you watch the sequel?
Weird. I didn't watch any of them, but I saw and I heard.
Oh man!
Like, oh God, this is just,
Tina and I were roasting awful. The movie in the theater when it came out. Like, it was, oh man, it's so fucking long. It's like over 3 hours or something stupid.
Ugh, already bad.
And it was a slog. Sure. And it was just so heavy handed. What it was at the end of the day, it was a kid's movie for people that went and saw the first one 14 years ago that now have kids that are aged 9 to 10, so that they can go with those 9 to 10-year-old kids to go watch.
That's what
the
I mean.
movie that they saw.
They dilute what made anything about what they created good. They water it down so much. It's like it doesn't even taste like, what is this that I'm consuming here? I don't know what it is anymore.
Well, he's building a franchise. That's what he's
That's
doing.
That's my point. It's like now Disney owns it, so now it's like they have to make it a franchise. Otherwise, they lose out on whatever money and merchandise they're going to potentially make off of it. It's like they have to make it a franchise. They can't just leave the movie a standalone. They had to make, and they're planning on making like 2 or 3 more sequels. Like it's a huge
Yeah.
thing.
Oh
now.
yeah, well
Yeah.
it's every
It's
and it's going to
chapters.
be, so this is the nice thing. It's going to be every few years or something, which is a lot fucking nicer than waiting 14 years for a sequel, because you're gonna lose you're gonna lose a lot in that time. Like it's your momentum's gone. What was the thing in League that everyone said you needed to have? It wasn't momentum. I think it
Momentum,
was. It's
yeah.
like when you're playing. Yeah. We were watching. We were watching like
If
League
you're doing
esports.
good, a team has momentum.
Yeah, and it's like they have really good momentum right now. And we were always joking. It's like, oh, that's what you need. That's what you need to win. I was playing the game wrong. I just need some good fucking momentum right now.
Damn it. Shit.
Damn.
The
Fuck.
James Cameron momentum.
Oh boy.
What about
I saw
what about
something
you, Aaron? What have you been
great
up to?
today. I mean, I know that we always somehow start talking about a car or traffic related incident in these shows, but I was just getting
That's what it
gas
feels
this
like,
morning.
yeah.
Yeah, I was getting gas this morning. The gas light came on, which is rare for me, but boy, was I glad I needed to get gas at this particular moment, because right across the street from me, before I was getting out of the car, barely looking up, and I hear skirt. Look across the street. This jackass is completely piled through one of those cones, the electrical service thing. That's like a maybe waist high with a bunch of holes in it, and then he plowed through and took off half of an electrical junction box, and the doors.
Holy shit!
He was driving.
Sorry. So was this on the road, like one of those, or was it in a building?
I don't know where he was coming from, but he was. It was at a corner. There's a 4-way light stop, and he was on the opposite side of the street going to the left. But it looked like what it seemed to be is he was driving with someone else. He was driving his own car by himself, but there was another car that was a friend of his that had already pulled into the corner there, which is a Carl's Jr. And he was trying to do some tight guy drifto shit and go into the Carl's Jr. But he totally fucked it up and just went right over the curb and through the junction stuff and just destroyed.
Fantastic.
He's driving a Z70. It's a Nissan rear-wheel drive, I'm pretty sure, car. He had the fancy rims, so you know this. He's 20-something. You could see him. And I got him on footage. I don't have it up on my computer right now. But I got him on footage. Getting out of his car, his front left tire is completely popped. It's on the rim. He's going around the back. His car's all messed up. The shit's everywhere, and he just raises his hands up. He's like about to cry, and his friend in the other car comes over, and they're like talking to him, and then there just so happened to be a fire truck at the McDonald's right next door. So you hear woo. They come pulling over like they were on lunch break. They're pissed off because they were having their burger, and then this jackass had to do his Tokyo drift or whatever the fuck he was doing. And
what a fucking idiot!
And you know, this guy's fucked because we've all been in accidents once or twice, but we know that car insurance is particularly hard on men and young men. They have.
Well, it's not only for the price, because that's like you have to pay more for insurance.
Yeah, you have to pay.
But
for
chances
the price.
are,
and then once you do have an accident, then your premium goes up almost at least 5 years or something or more.
Right. Or they just don't insure you. Like they can just refuse your insurance if it was bad enough.
Sure,
like,
and we'll assume he has a normal insurance. But the other thing too is he did damage to city property. So it's
Right.
one thing if you were to damage another person's car, because that's insurance. That's private to private. That's insurance to insurance. But if you're damaging city property, you can't run from that. The city's going to charge whatever the fuck they want to, and the insurance is going to pay it because they're not going to dispute a city's team of lawyers. They could just fuck around with Joe Schmo all they want to, but when it comes to a city,
Well, and it's also in an instance like that, it's like, okay, well, what's your defense? Look, that electrical box just came out of fucking nowhere. It's like it was pulling back.
put that
like,
curb there.
Yeah, it was giving me the middle finger. Like it was antagonizing me, really, officer. Right?
Yeah. I don't know exactly what he did, but he did something stupid, and man, I was like, good, this is awesome, this is tight. Like
yeah,
no one was hurt.
It's
Yeah.
no one was
Well, that's
hurt.
the best part too. Is like
now
he got his just desserts, right? Like so he was pretty cool with his new fly car and his fucking stupid rims.
Yeah.
And you said he was trying to drift into the parking lot.
I assume so, because the only way he could have done that is two possible things. Either he was coming from around the corner, he was making a right, and he tried to do some cool tight guy like corner rift, and he lost control and then overcorrected, steering into the sidewalk, or he was trying to do some tight guy thing into the driveway and miscalculated when the actual opening comes up to, and he just went right over the 3 feet before the opening of the curb. So one thing or the other. There's no excuse as to why that would happen on a person.
See, we are giving this guy a bunch of shit, but we literally had a conversation like 2 weeks ago about driving with our lights off, listening to Requiem for a Dream soundtrack when we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
So we were driving literally blind at night and like without any lights. So could have just as easily.
I've done
and we would have
stupid
been like,
stuff too.
Deserved it.
And you know what?
So.
I have fucked around and I have crashed my car into one or two things, but it was never something this bad or this public. This is a guy who's showing off. Whenever I did that shit, it was no one was around.
I didn't want anyone to see that shit. I think that's the difference, is we were doing stuff that we're like, we want to do this to be cool for ourselves. We don't want for other people to see. In fact, if other people saw, we would be in trouble. More scared.
Yeah, you can't just do donuts in plain sight. Mm-hmm. And of course, back when we were doing it, no one had a camera in their pocket. So
right.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Because this guy was on right there. Spotlight. He might as well have been on Broadway's stage at this point, because he was just everybody could just see him and go, that fucking idiot, this jackass. Oh, and you know he's clearly a 20-year-old something. On the video, I looked in real close, and his T-shirt has a picture of Rick Sanchez's face on the front. So,
oh my God!
You know he's a young rebel.
I mean, there you go, right there. Yeah. Found him. It was right there, officer. Get him.
Fuck, yeah, fuck, dude. Oh fuck! I fucked my life up, man. My new car, my rims.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, that's the
I guess the nice part, if we're like, maybe he'll go get booked, probably won't spend that much time in jail if he does. And besides fines and his life being a little bit more complicated, it's kind of like you guys said, no one got hurt.
You think he's gonna go to jail?
His lesson.
Probably.
I think you could probably go to jail for like
reckless endangerment.
Well, reckless endangerment, or I'm thinking like a 24, 48, maybe 72-hour stint waiting for someone to do bail, and then probably maybe having to go to court, at least to traffic court. It just depends on how severe that stuff is. But if they want to, they could take your license away.
I'm curious.
And you can go, you would need to go to court.
At this video. I want to see what his license plate is, because his friend has a Missouri T-shirt. I think he has a California.
Oh, and if he's out of state,
plate. Maybe his friend's from out of state.
Yeah,
it looks like he has a California plate.
That would also be rough, because they would want to hold them to. I mean, not that it matters if he goes to Missouri, they can still.
Well, whatever. Yeah. Happy Sunday.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
So
All
Idiot.
right, we're ready. Ready to move on.
okay, yeah.
All right, let's talk about some stuff. So we here at Two Guys One Guy like to bring up what's going on in the world, and then kind of not talk about that part too much, and just try to have some fun, talk about some old stuff. So what we're talking about this week is natural disasters. Specifically, we're talking about the storm that's coming off the coast of Texas right now that might be a huge hurricane. So it's called the tropical storm right now, Beryl. Began lashing Texas with rain and intensifying winds Sunday. Beach towns have been evacuated. They're starting to cut some paths open for people. It already hit the Caribbean, did some terrible damage. And it might be moving into Texas. So we were going to talk about some natural disasters today because that's happening in Texas. So first thing we're going to talk about is what has affected you guys the most from a natural disaster, as far as either having to evacuate or damage. I know there's been some things that have happened from fires, or I don't know if you
I've had
guys
a
have been in
few.
floods.
For
Yeah.
me, it's not. I haven't had so much as. I mean, maybe in what, the 90s, 98 earthquake. What was that? The
Back
big one.
in
It was like
72 in Frisco.
94. 94 was the
I
San
think.
Francisco
Huge one.
earthquake. What the fuck were you doing in I was like 7?
He was a
Yeah,
I don't
but then other than
he
that,
was
that's
a
what I'm saying.
trolley
Like,
conductor.
I'm going through the ones that I can
Yeah.
remember. Like, as far as like big disaster, that was pretty disastrous. And then the Thomas fires in Ventura were pretty bad. It was
Yeah,
like
I guess that
right
would have
next
been
to
the
my
big one,
house,
where the
like right
fires.
there. It was
Yeah.
like lighting up the sky. Like, woke up with no power. I go outside. I'm like, what the fuck? It looks like Armageddon, because like the fire is like right on the other side of the 126 freeway, which is
Oh,
like a
geez.
mile and a half from my house. So I was like, oh shit, it's fucking huge ass fire. And then I look
Did
to the hills, the mountains that's kind of split between Camarillo and Santa Paula, all on fire. It's fucking
yeah.
super lit
Oh,
up.
geez.
I was like,
Were
oh
your
shit,
parents
this is
out like
crazy.
hosing down the roof, or like we're not
No.
leaving? That was like my mom. She was like, "Oh, we're out and we're, hosing down the roof," which is something that you're supposed to do. You are supposed to
Yeah.
like
Oh,
hose
really?
down your house
It can
to
help.
keep it, if it's dry stuff with embers. But at the same time, it's like in my mind, if there's like, well, there's fire right down the road, then my ass is, how's our insurance? Good. Okay.
Calling
We're
your
gonna go
insurance right
ahead and
now.
we're gonna,
Do we have
yeah.
fire
well, yeah,
insurance?
we're gonna leave you to fire insurance. But I know there's always those stories of those people that are like, we're not leaving.
Stand their ground.
Okay. Good for you
Yeah,
guys.
dude.
Get
Die
their
with your ass,
guns
I don't
out.
care.
Start shooting at the fire.
Shoot the fire.
Shoot the fire.
You fucker. Blah 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 blah.
Well, I feel like when we were younger, it was always the earthquake preparedness bag in school. I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys ever had to deal with that, but we had to have a backpack
Yeah.
at school
Yeah.
with earthquake supplies, and then we had our earthquake drills. Get under the desk and close the window.
No,
It's just
get
I think
under
it's
the desk. Yeah, that's the one I loved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's funny that like the generation before us, they were getting under the desk for nuclear missile strikes. And then we were getting under the desks for earthquakes. And now the next generation are getting under the desks for shooters.
So
It's just like,
and locking the door.
it's
That's
just-
the one.
No,
and locking
one
the door.
added,
Yes,
yeah.
getting under the
they're
desk.
getting
locking
under the
door,
desk
yeah.
because the teacher refused to use their proper pronouns.
Oh yeah.
Well, believe it or not, one of the steps for nuclear attack was to also lock the door. Apparently, it just helps.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
just the bomb won't come in.
Well, they have to get on their knees for critical race theory and book, and then they have to get on their knees for book burning and all those new weird things. It's
Jeez.
mandatory in school. Saluting the flag, goose stepping. I've had a few natural disasters. Kind of directly sort of affect me. The most recent one, I know we all prepare for earthquakes, but there really haven't been a big shakeup that's there's no natural disaster record tracking of the big one that hit California since like San Francisco or whatever. Now, the last time a big one kind of hit, I was in LA. I was actually in a casino where there was a UFC kind of fight going on. I don't know what tournament it was, but there was a UFC fight in the middle of the casino, and that's when the earthquake hit. And it was kind of freaky because the last place you want to be in an earthquake is in a giant building with a bunch of sweaty meat fart guys, but also the chandeliers are shaking, and you're on the second floor of an old structure. You don't know if it's rated for California shake or anything like that, but
that's always the I don't want to say the trope or whatever, but you're in a casino, the earthquake happens, the lights go out for 1 second, and then all of a sudden people are like beating each other and taking all the chips and everything, and it's like lockdown.
It's amazing how much like civility goes out the window almost instantly. Something like that happens.
That's on
Jesus Christ,
does that happen though? Does it actually happen, or is that something that happens in the movies? You know what I mean? I don't know if
I'm sure it happens, but I don't know if it like. I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't fucking gamble or anything like that, but it'd be interesting to see. But that is typically what. That's got to come from somewhere. It's had to have happened.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it has. I don't hold people in that high of regard.
There's a lot of George Costanzas out there pushing people, children, women out of the way to get out of the fire. So that happened. Little side note, you guys know about the big earthquake? I can't remember the name of it, but there's supposed to be some fault line that runs all the way from, I want to say at least somewhere in Canada, maybe Alaska, down to Oregon, Northern California. It's some huge fault line that was supposed to have gone off maybe 100 years ago or something. And if it did go off, it's supposed to basically destroy every city west on the western side of all these states from Canada down to Oregon, just completely obliterate them and have a tidal wave the size of the empire just crash across the land. I can't remember the name of it, but there's that. So I'm waiting on that. That'll be fun. The other thing,
I'm waiting on that.
Yeah, two more recent natural disasters. There were the fires, like Wesley was saying. This wasn't the Thomas fire, but this was the fire that happened the year or two after that one that was on the Santa Monica Mountains. It was kind of close to where I was living at the time. And I had to go home early from work because I was watching it on the news. And it took what's normally a 30 minute drive. It took maybe 2 to 3 hours just to get to my house because there was just deadlocked traffic. I actually have more car talk. I have a video I was just watching yesterday that I took where we're on the freeway and I need to get off on the next exit, and of course so is everybody else. A lot of people are anyway, and it's deadlocked traffic. So one smart guy gets the idea that, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna ride the buffer side, the lane,
shoulder,
shoulder that no one's supposed to be in. Emergency only.
Perfect. Emergency only. Yes.
It's my emergency. I'm gonna do it. They speed off. So then, monkey see, monkey do. You get the next guy doing it. The third, the fourth. You got a whole train of cars just going.
Oh, then traffic's back again. Fucking idiots.
Well, here's the problem: is that there's a wall. There's going to be a stop at some point, right? Like this isn't just the free lane that goes to hyperspace into where the fuck. There's not a teleport that takes you around.
Where's the off ramp
at some point?
You're fucking
So naturally, the first car hit the end at. There wasn't that far to go. They stopped at some point and then stop. But the last few cars that got in on this hype train. 2 sportsy cars, 2 younger guys in their 20s or 30s again, fucking Mustangs. Slam. They crash ass to cheek right into each other right next to me. I get this on footage and they both look the same. They both look like some dude, bro, like fucking moron. They get out, they're doing the look to each other like, oh dude. It's like, cool. So now you were in such a hurry. to get somewhere, and now you can't go anywhere because of this.
Right. For a long time.
Yeah.
And wait for the cops. Wait through the cops for stop traffic.
And the best part is wherever the fuck they were going, it didn't matter because nothing ever happened in the entire area. It was all on the other side of the mountain. It just looked like we were entering doom because this entire sky is red and there's ash falling down, and it's a hellscape scene that most people never get to see in their lives. So it looked really cool, and when I finally got to where I needed to go, it's empty and it looks like hell, so that's cool. But yeah, but nothing happened. So these, jackasses do that. And then on the way out, it took another 3 hours to get out. I pretty much just pulled over just so I didn't burn gas and waited, and everything was fine. So skipped town for a day or two. But that was the fires. Yeah. And then the last thing that happened was when we had an earthquake and a hurricane hit California at the same time on the same day. The earthquake was...
When was that? How long ago was that?
This was last year. This was, I think, August last year. So 2023. And early August, there was a medium-sized earthquake and a hurricane. It was the first time a hurricane had ever... It wasn't a real hurricane. It was one of those reported hurricanes, but it did have a very strong wind and rain for the area. And more car-related shit. The weirdest thing, my car battery died. Just. I was going to the airport.
Best.
I was going to the airport.
You're that guy in the movie where it's just like ring, 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 and it's like, we've gotta go. It's coming.
It felt like something out of Twister, because what's weird about it is the car, it was dead, right? Worked perfectly fine the day before. Hurricane hit, earthquake hit. I turn the key. It's like dead. Turn it again, it starts to kick. Turn it again, it kicks more and more. Turn again, car starts. Never after that did it ever have a problem. To this day, it still works perfectly fine. So,
electromagnetic interference.
I said this. Like, yes, EMP. I'm almost 100% positive an EMP went through the area. Because how else do you explain that? Battery wasn't dead. Why would it do that?
The sentinels were coming, and someone had to come, and then they had to turn the key, and they blasted it, and you're part of the Matrix. You were caught in the blast real quick.
I was. Yeah. So I think an EMP hit my car. A natural electronic pulse. And that was pretty weird.
I don't know if you guys ever, when someone says EMP, that's literally the first thing that I think of is the Matrix and like their EMP pulses. I don't know if that was the first time that it was
GoldenEye for
a
me,
sci-fi
mostly.
movie for me. Oh, GoldenEye, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. Was that at when in the movie did that happen?
Was
that
when they
at
first
the facility in Russia? Or?
Boris, the hacker guy, and then Natalia, who like.
That's in the
Russian
facility, right?
Like they're like programmers or whatever. And he always does the I'm invincible type bullshit and flicks his pen around all kinds. And then that bam, they sabotage the satellite and sabotage the facility and boom,
that's
EMP.
Right. Yeah. That new movie,
that's a good one.
The monster was a moving EMP, right? All electronics died around it.
I never watched it.
It's good.
I saw Get Out, but didn't see Nope. Or that's what it's called, right? Get Out.
There's Get
the first
Out.
Jordan Peele
then
movie.
There's Us.
Yeah,
and then there's Nope.
Yeah, I just saw Get Out. It was a pretty good movie. I liked it. I couldn't watch it by myself. I got too scared.
Scary movie.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of scary movies. Just not so entertaining.
I like them.
What about natural disaster scary movies?
Oh yeah. So for me, my natural disaster stories, while most of them were shared with you guys from earthquakes and everything, I'll share my Iowa experiences because I came out here and it's tornado country. So we've had so many tornadoes this year. They were saying normal yearly tornadoes is like 54 per year that hit in Iowa, and we're like 120 so far.
Nice.
It's like just been like a super crazy year. But the most memorable one for me was the first tornado that hit for us, and I was living with my in-laws over in the small town in this rickety house from 1890. So it has this basement that's it's a brick basement that you go down there, and that's where you shelter. So because we lived in the city, they have their tornado warnings like on your phone, but they also have the siren that goes off in the town. And it's like an air raid siren essentially.
Yeah.
And as soon as you hear that, you're supposed to shelter in place because it's like that means that a tornado has touched down and you need to go in because tornadoes, again, the area of damage is nothing. It's very, very small,
Right.
but you don't know where it's going to go. So it literally can just like do this and then crash into your house and then you're dead. So the sirens are going off. We gathered everything. We have Alice with us. We take our dogs down in the basement. We're all sitting there and we hear the sirens.
And wouldn't you
And
know it, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton are down there with us, and I'm flipping my mind.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
Yeah.
So then my wife's dad, he ends up going out of the basement and then just goes outside and then takes his phone out and he's like recording like outside as the sirens are going off. And Tina's mom's down there. It's like, can you please tell him to come downstairs? And she's like, well, if he wants to be outside. And the door was open and Tina just went up and then just closed the door and was like, well, if he's going to die, he's going to die by himself.
Nice.
What an idiot.
But it's just like, yeah, I mean, if there's sirens going off, you should probably just shelter in place. But for people that have been out here, they're
used to it.
They've heard those sirens every single year and they're like, whatever, like it's fine. Like I know when it's coming or we're not in danger. But for someone that's never experienced it before, it was like, okay, well, the sirens are going off. So what do? You do what the sirens tell you to do.
Right. Are they when are you overreacting and when are you being the dumb spectacle goon who's going to get destroyed by a flood?
Well, that's what I'm curious about.
Well,
like what is the so you 100 what was it, 120 tornadoes, is that what you said?
This year is extremely high, but generally it's supposed to be like 50 or 60 is the average yearly tornadoes.
So what goes into, like, what's the process or protocol for, let's say you, for example, your house gets just obliterated from a tornado. Like what kind of compensation do you get if you lose your house to a tornado in a place like that?
Well, it's the same as like California. Everyone's required to have earthquake insurance. Everyone is required to have tornado insurance. So like I have tornado insurance for my house. And it would be the same, everyone who has a loan on their home would need to have it. Like the bank owns it. Yeah. So I'm forced to have it. So I have tornado insurance.
Can't they just pay for it for you? They own it.
Yeah, what the hell, guys?
What the fuck?
I'm already paying
you guys own my
money.
This is yours. Can you pay for the fucking insurance?
Yeah, you got to have our house.
Technically, I'm insuring your investment. So like,
yeah, why is that on me? No.
You should call them.
They'll put. Yeah, I'll let them know. Yeah, I'm big. Yeah, real close with my insurance company. But no, they they'll do the same thing. They'll house you if your place is destroyed. They'll replace all your stuff. Just your investment. Same as any insurance. From my understanding, what I've seen, they obviously have community help that come by for goods. Like that tornado that I was talking about, it actually did touch down. It killed like 17 people. It destroyed a bunch of houses. Wow. And Tina was getting super into like giving back to the community at that time. So we ended up going out and buying foods. And then one of the local churches was taking any kind of goods that you could have, and they were distributing them. And we went there and we dropped stuff off, and they're just like, we're good. Like they had so much stuff there for the amount of people that were affected. It ended up being
They had
like
a
we're just
surplus.
it's just because it's a small community, people end up, donating more or being
Well, that's
more a part
cool.
of
That's a
it.
good
And
thing. That's definitely not a bad thing.
yeah, no, it is.
It's not gonna
I'm
fucking
a
happen here. That's
fan
for
of.
goddamn sure.
What's your local
Well,
shelter?
that's
Is it a high
people
school
here.
gym?
Well, it was church. The
Churches.
churches.
Oh,
That's
sure, yeah.
generally churches.
Did
I
they
mean,
put
churches
their
are the
did they put their
same.
wind wards up so they can combat the wind so it doesn't
They
destroy the
have
church?
Jesus totems. Yeah.
The clerics of Episcopalian, the Protestant clerics, they have their own spells.
A lot of
So,
paper tags with wax seals all over the place.
yeah.
That's cool, man. I mean, that'd be terrifying for me. Just hearing those sirens would be would probably inflict a lot of anxiety on me. Just hearing them, like, oh shit. I mean, like, what are the of those 120 tornadoes? How much effect did they have on the community?
Well,
Like on average,
a
I guess.
decent
I guess what I'm
amount,
asking is, what's the average
like death
expense
count or
that
destruction.
yeah, like the expense that that the states are shells out for any sort of damage or loss of life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fucking know that shit, but I do
Be
know
curious
that
to know.
like there's usually always deaths. I would say every single time there's like major tornadoes, there's deaths. And it's like houses here are required, or not required, but almost every house has a basement because that's the safest place to go, and it's pretty much required. But there's a lot of people that live in modular homes or trailers or stuff like that, and those are generally the people that end up dying because they don't have a place to shelter. The place. So here, this is the level of preparedness. If you have a basement, you go in your basement and you're good. It's like you're underground. Your whole house is going to fly off and your basement's going to be sitting there. Like you're fine. If you're in a place that doesn't have a basement, like you're in a house, the place they tell you to go is the bathtub.
Oh yeah, that's
So
right.
it's
I
like,
heard that.
that's the level of difference of preparedness that you have. You have the earth versus a bathtub. so it's like it's a big thing to have a basement. So if someone who doesn't have a basement ends up getting in a path of a tornado, unfortunately the bathtub's not going to help much.
No, it's just a fiberglass usually. I mean, there is that ventrilo effect where wind can't. It's like the back of a truck, like wind passes over it. So maybe that's why they suggest that. Plus, it's just like a boat that won't lift you out.
I'm sure it's better. I mean, honestly, guys, we all know the perfect place to be in the case of any natural disaster, which is in an old lead-lined refrigerator. It can survive nuclear blasts.
I was going to say another state, but
at least that's 2 Harrison Fords. Another state. Yeah.
Or
it's
in
great. Just
a rubber
fucking
raft.
leave.
Because they can fly off of airplanes, go down waterfalls.
They can do anything.
Indiana Jones. You know what I think you should do?
You know they're making another Indiana Jones movie, I'm pretty sure. Or did they already come out with the new one?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Where
they
he was replaced by a British lady.
Oh, yes. So they did. See, that's how far away I am from that shit after Crystal Skull.
Here's what you do, David. You have to start, and this is going to be like a wives club, right? In that kind of sense. It starts out as a wives club or a book reading club. But what you do is you create a cult of the tornado, or a tornado cult. Okay. And you get a bunch of people and you have a secret meeting place and you wear hoods and candles and stuff like that. You have weird tornado handshakes and rituals and stuff, and you worship the tornado, the cult of the tornado. And I think that's a pretty cool idea.
The only reason why you start a cult is to have sex with all the members.
Well, yeah, of course.
I am convinced that is the end goal of any cult. Is I want to be able to have sex with any cult member as the leader.
Yeah, you call it the Twister.
Whatever it is. The twister.
Yeah.
God.
And then, there's the wife swap. Whoa, they're swapping all over the place.
my
Where's my
God.
wife going?
It's all
Where's she
tornado
going?
themed. That's
Jesus Christ.
that would be the lamest shit.
You get one of those, and then you get one of those machines that were in the mall that you stand in and dollar bills fly around. But that's like the initiation machine for new members. They have to stand in there for like an hour
They
straight.
have to survive the
Yeah.
tornado. But I would put something dangerous in there, maybe like something that would poke them, or I don't know.
Yeah, the hazing booth.
That would be a good Saw device. Now that I'm thinking about that, if they only would have been able to do that in Saw, maybe
Wouldn't
they
it?
did. I've only seen like 2 of them. But if you have to enter this. The tornado generator, and in it are needles full of, I don't know.
It's just
acid or
leaves and
something.
pollen. If they have allergies, that's all it is. Yeah,
You never
man.
appreciated having.
And you can make a cool mask too. You could be the cult leader, the tornado.
This is good.
Cult.
I'm writing this all down.
And
Very excited to do this.
You can make a drink. Call it it's a punch, right? But you call it an ayahuasca. All right, the ayahuasca,
God.
and you make them all drink it, and you get hallucinated. I think that's a good idea.
That's great.
You want it to make
It's a
friends.
good idea. Yeah, that's
He's just here.
fantastic.
Tina,
You wanna
hey,
make-
Tina,
you wanna make friends.
I got an idea.
Tina,
Starting a cult.
Starting a cult. Hope you like
It
swapping.
is. I hope you like swapping.
So what happened to Texas? What's hitting Texas?
So there's a big
Ted
storm
What's
of
the
the
hurricane
century.
called, first of all? It's gotta have a name.
It's Beryl, and it's not confirmed a hurricane yet for the states. It's right now it's Tropical Storm Beryl. But
Why
there's
Beryl?
a potential that it.
A stupid name.
So from my understanding, the way that they name is alphabetical based on the
Category.
number of. Well, it's either category or it's the amount per year. So the first major category, whatever hurricane, would have been an A name. So it would have been like Hurricane Anton. And then the next one would be Hurricane Beryl.
Mm.
And if there was one after that, it'd be Hurricane like
Yeah, but they need
Carmen.
to give it a name. Like Beryl just sounds dumb and like not. It doesn't sound ominous
Beryl's
at
a
all.
name. That's-
Like Hurricane
they're not
Katrina, you're like,
supposed to be honest.
Shit, that name rings a bell. Hurricane Katrina. Like,
Well, but if you were just to say Katrina, the name, before the hurricane, you would have been like, yeah, whatever, like Katrina. It's not like a scary name. It's just
It's a
because you
woman's
know
name.
that it was Hurricane
scary.
Katrina. Oh my god.
I'm more.
We were
I'm
just
more
talking
afraid
about
now.
this before. We were just talking
Yeah,
about
it
this
should have
before
been Hurricane
the podcast.
Bertha.
How-
All right,
Yeah,
it's much
Hurricane
more terrifying.
Bertha. Hurricane Barbara, like anything.
Ooh.
No, Wesley's more scared of any name that sounds like preppy. So if it was Hurricane Brittany or something, then he would be the most scared.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, barrels are
Hurricane
barrels are cool.
Becky.
I'm not scared of a barrel.
Yeah, I'm a barrel rider.
Whiskey
Yeah.
comes in barrels. Guns shoot through barrels. You know they have a barrel.
Guns.
But Brittany, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with
Yeah.
that.
No, get it out of here.
Get away from me.
So they got a hurricane, but those never
Well-
turn into anything, don't they? At least by
Yeah, the last
Texas.
one. I think the last one was the same
Oh,
thing
hurricanes
happened.
destroy shit. Hurricanes,
Texas, right?
hurricanes are the. Well, not. I think that's why it's such a big deal, is because normally they don't hit Texas.
Right,
Like,
they
those are the-
wash
like
out
Florida
in
and
Atlanta, Georgia, and all those other states before it gets.
Well,
to
once
Yeah.
it gets closer
But
to
if a hurric-
land, that's when it just starts to dissipate.
Mm.
Right, but I mean, if it does hit, then it fucks up severely. It's
for
because it's not
sure.
just the hurricane; it's the tides that come in, so people get swept away. Like it's always that shit when you have like a tsunami or whatever. They all come together, so they'll have huge tidal waves or huge swells, and then hurricanes are significantly larger than like a tornado.
Do you think the people that
Um,
get killed by these natural disasters are the people who just don't have a facility to hide, like the mobile home type people in a tornado, or is it the people who are like your stepfather and think it's just no big deal. I'll just hang out on my boat. It's not. It's not. Nothing's gonna happen, and then they get topsided in their boat, something like that. Do you think
Well,
it's
I wonder too. It's like,
Man, I don't know. It's a
well,
good.
I
I
wonder
feel
too. It's
like
like sometimes
a
the
little bit of both.
like debris. Like, I mean, I don't know how close you'd have to be to, and I'm sure the severity of the tornado would matter as well. But it's uh, like the residual effects. I don't know if it's like direct damage or if it's like the after effects. Like, right, like it's not so much the wind. It's like the water that swept up and swept up a child or a kid or a, you know,
Right.
someone who can't get away from the water as fast. Uh,
I like
something
to
like that.
think
Like,
it's
I don't
people
know what would
generally
go.
being
the
stupid.
fallout from a storm, like maybe a flooded zone, pollution, hazard, debris, stuff like that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some things like that that get people. Storms
I think it's
over.
mostly stupid people, honestly. Like I'm sure facilities are a part of it, but it's one of those things. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where you usually know pretty far in advance ahead of time that you need to be prepared.
Sure.
I'm also talking from ignorance though, because in those situations with hurricanes, sometimes there isn't a place to go. It's like you'll see those whole neighborhoods that are flooded. It's like for those people that are on their roofs. It's like, well, how do you not die on your roof? And the answer is you make sure that you stock up on food and water to make sure that you can, last long enough before help comes.
That kind of reminds me
Right.
of, what was it, Paradise, California? The place that just
Oh, they
completely
got
wiped off the face of the planet because
Yeah.
they only had 2 roads in and out of there, and they
Yeah.
got log jammed, and you could run faster than you could drive, and the fire was moving at top speed, or like 60 miles an hour or faster. So people were literally running from their cars or burning alive on the street.
That's crazy.
That is.
Fuck. When is this? When
This
when
is the
is
Thomas
this?
fires. It spread to
Oh,
Well,
jeez.
not the Thomas fires, but way north. It was called, I want to say Paradise. It's either
Yeah.
Paradise or
yeah. But that was the same time. There was multiple fires happening. Like, there were multiple fires going on.
Yeah. There's fires
And that
all
was one
over
of them. But it was around the same time.
yes.
And it totally took out an entire town. It's not even there. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
I think maybe just the pipes, if that.
Yeah, it
Like,
was
everything,
wiped
it
off.
was literally scorched earth.
I actually got
Right.
to see, I don't know what fire it was. It was the one that hit near north of San Francisco Bay, Mendocino County areas up there. I think San Jose, something like that. So there's a county up there. I was up there for visiting someone, and that area had gotten hit. And I got to drive through the neighborhood that hit there, and we're talking your average suburban neighborhood, and I'd never seen something quite like this. It literally looked like it came out of Fallout, the game. A nuclear blast hit this place, because it was just the skeletal structures of the concrete paddings where buildings were, with the metal frame of cars, the chimneys, and vault safes, and that's about all that remained. It was vaults,
What the fuck?
car frames, and chimneys, and everything else was just a wasteland. So dead trees, there was nothing left.
Jesus.
Complete hazard. And it was that way for blocks and blocks and blocks. And then you could actually see the line where it would stop at a street, and then just a perfectly normal looking house on the other side of the street, and then hell on the other side of the street. It was weird. Very weird.
Crazy.
Yeah, man.
Sucks that happens to people.
Mm.
I mean, then look at Hawaii. Look at those fires.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Hawaii.
yeah.
I mean, not
jeez.
Hawaii. Was it
Volcano.
Lahaina? Lahaina was the place that got devastated.
There's a volcano going off currently somewhere. I'm pretty sure. Huh.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, so it was a natural
Fuck
disasters.
Texas.
Glad we're all alive. Yeah, fuck Texas. Hope they get put under what now.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But yeah, that's good. Well, I don't know. Next up, Aaron, you got anything planned? I got stuff to talk about. If you're playing any games,
No,
or...
nothing new, not yet.
Well,
I just finished going
I'll
through
take
my
charge.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I'll take
let's
charge
do,
of our media times. Yeah, let's
all right.
talk about
Moving on.
what we're doing, what we're watching, what we're playing. And I'll go ahead and talk. Actually, I don't know if we recorded the episode, but I did talk about The Bear season 2, or The
Oh,
Bear that I watched. Well, season 3 just came out.
did it really?
And I started watching. Yep,
Oh, okay.
came out.
Now I got something
It's
to watch.
It's on Hulu. Oh my, like, man. I was telling Tina, so here I'll spoil the first episode for you, and I'm going to quote this.
Sure.
So I had watched the first 2 seasons probably 4 months ago.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it.
Right.
And so today was the first day I was like, hey, season 3's been out for like, I think it came out on Tuesday or something. It hasn't been out for very long.
It must be
And I'll go ahead and watch it. Yeah, it's pretty. It's, I think, last week.
Yeah.
Last week is when it came out. And I was like, oh, I hope they do a recap at the beginning of the episode, so I kind of get a refresh of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the spoiler: the first episode, the entire first episode, is a recap, but I was glued to the screen the entire time.
Oh,
And I told Tina it's very quiet and deliberate, and it doesn't do any cutaways or have any exposition. It's done with very little words, most of the scenes without words at all, with a very simple soundtrack of like very simple music. And it's done in such a way that I was literally like, I was staring at the screen the whole time. They gave a little bit of new information with like some stuff that had happened in the past. It didn't go anywhere. It was just literally covering the old events, but it was treating me like an intelligent human being that could connect dots together.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, like, Tina came in and I was telling her, I was like, this is cinema. Like, to me, like, as I was watching it, this is like art. It's not trying to trick me into watching it. It was just letting it be there and letting me consume it. And it was great. Like, I wanted to rewatch the recap episode again to see if I had like missed anything or to get more information and just to be a part of it. Like, it was really good. And then I watched 4 episodes.
This is this is about that chef.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about. So if you haven't seen it,
Yeah,
if you haven't seen it, Wesley, it's an amazing show. The triggers or whatever that I would say is it's very hectic. It's directed in a way that makes you anxious. Like, that's like it's done from, they really try to make you feel anxious essentially about what's going on. But it's done. I don't know, Aaron. I'm really messing it up. There's a lot of good things that happen. It's a feel good show that makes you work to feel good. It's like, it's not Game of Thrones where everything bad happens. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No,
ahead, Aaron. I really like it.
The cinematography is one of the key features of this show. The story's solid. It's a solid story, but it's not probably anything that's going to blow your socks off that you haven't seen bits here and there. But the way they show it is what sells it. As David was saying, it treats you as an intellectual, meaning they don't always do exposition through spoken word. They do a lot of showing, less telling, and you'll see it through character development, character interaction. They don't always have to explain.
Really good character development.
Right.
Really good character development.
Who, what, or why. You just learn it through watching. And they do a lot of anxiety. It's a anxiety would probably be the key feature, but pressure, tension, tons of tension. Very,
Oh, yeah.
very. You probably have more tension in this show than any Gordon Ramsay thing I've ever watched, and it's the same concept.
Yeah.
But you like the characters, you like the dialogue they're having. They have real conversations that have resolutions to them, and they build off of that. And there's still an ongoing character arcs with the main character I can't bear, played by I think his name's Andrew something White. He was recently in
He's the guy from
the Iron Claw
go,
with
go.
Zac Efron, that wrestler movie. But
Mm.
yeah, it's very well done cinematography wise and directorial wise, and it takes maybe 3 episodes to really get hooked. The first episode's fine, but they do kind of have a cheesy a little bit of cheese in there once or twice with, say, like Ball Puncher, that game. You know what I'm talking about, David?
That the pilot was a little off.
Yeah,
but
most pilots are crap.
It didn't turn me off. I was like, okay, I'll watch the next episode. But I do agree, probably 2 or 3 episodes in, and then I'm like,
Okay.
I need to.
I'll give it a shot for sure.
Like, I need to see this
based
through.
on that. And I love I love that movie Burnt with Bradley Cooper, where he plays like a fucking drug addict chef, and I thought that was good because it kind of captures that same sort of tension in the kitchen where it's like fucking hectic as hell.
And don't feel like it's every episode, because it's not. They have a lot of
Sure.
slower episodes, which are really nice. Yeah. One of my favorite episodes, and David would agree, is where there's this character, I don't remember his name, but he's not a family member to the bear. He's like unofficial cousin.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? This guy is a real,
are you
like,
talking about when
Guido
he goes
kind of hard ass, like, this is how we've always
I'll
done
be right back.
Yeah. And
you're talking about when he goes to be like a maitre d',
a learning moment, when he goes
right?
Where he really starts to
that
have an appreciation
such
for
a fucking good,
caring about something, making sure something's nice, and seeing why that's important.
Well, and the crazy shit too about that, because I agree with you. Yeah, I love that episode, or that, like, his arc. I think it covered maybe 2 episodes or maybe 3, like when he went to Copenhagen, and then when he came back and all that stuff.
Did he go to Copenhagen? I thought that was the pastry chef.
Oh shoot, that's right. It was the pastry. Yeah, you're right. It was the pastry chef. Sorry. He went to New York or whatever, where he had worked previously. The bear had worked previously.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it was. I mean, the crazy thing about that is when you see the character during, like, the first season, even, or just how he is, you're like, this couldn't happen to this guy, but they make it so believable, and it's like.
Yeah,
he becomes like this ingratiated character, and like, man, like, this is crazy. Like, they did this for this guy, and
it's probably you could tell that there's quality to it because they have a lot of high-profile actors that pop in. Sometimes I think Jamie Lee Curtis did that whole episode as the mother. She wasn't amazing.
Yeah,
but Olivia
did.
Colman plays his Andrew's ex, like, chef. There's the Bernhard, what's his name? Played the brother.
There's some cameos in season 3 that feel, I'll say, like, one of my complaints is the cameos feel a little bit out of place.
Okay.
For me so far, like, just to not, it's not a spoiler, but shoot, who's that? John Cena is in season 3.
John Cena, okay.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, he's there, and it just doesn't feel natural because it's John Cena in the show.
Yeah,
like why?
His
character, like, he plays the character, but it just doesn't. It just feels weird. But overall, again, I haven't finished the 3rd season. I think I'm 4 episodes in, but the same quality, the same kind of goodness. I'm hooked. It is, 10 episodes.
Okay, you could binge it. Got it.
Oh, good. That's good. Yeah, because I love that. I hate waiting a week. Maybe a week you get 1 episode. It's like, oh,
like The Boys.
Jesus, fucking edging me the whole goddamn time.
Oh man,
The Boys season 4.
Season 4,
Season
yeah.
4 is currently
Yeah,
rolling.
I heard
Episode
mixed
5 was
things
the
about
newest
that,
one.
but
I'm enjoying it.
it's good. I think we talked about this last time too,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So I've been watching
Cool.
The Boys. It's doing fine in my opinion, but it's not over yet. It's a lot of stuff's happening in that. A few other things I was watching for anime, Demon Slayer season 108. I don't know why they call it season 108 on Crunchyroll, but it would be more like season 4 or 5.
Yeah.
They call it arcs though. This is the Hashima training arc.
The Hiroshima arc.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, the Hiroshima.
It's gonna be
Onizaka.
explosive.
It's a kind of a half arc. It's sort of in between two bigger things. They had a bigger arc
the
last time.
sashimi tuna hand roll arc. Yes,
Yes, that's right.
Now who's racist, David?
Yeah, now who's the racist?
I see what happens.
Jesus. Not all Japanese people eat sushi, you fucking asshole.
Well, they should. It's delicious. Why wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Another show, House of Dragon season 2 came out. I started to watch.
I'm honestly not I'm not feeling that show at all.
No,
I thought I was at first, and I was like, you know what? I know what. Again, it's a sequel that didn't need to happen. I know what happens.
It's a prequel that didn't. Even worse,
Yeah,
it's a prequel that didn't.
That's
need
what
to
I mean,
happen.
though. But it came after the show. It's like
Sure.
you guys could have just made more, expanded on the lore, but now you had to go back in time to tell me something that already fucking happened about someone I know who's gonna fucking die. Spoiler: she fucking dies.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And it's
fucking, why do I want to watch it?
It's the story takes place about 100 years before the events of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So every character you see means nothing. You don't give a shit.
Right.
It means nothing because you're never seen of, never heard of. I've watched a couple episodes and it's. I mean, really, it just feels like a soap opera most of the time. It doesn't have the edge that I think the original Game of Thrones did.
No.
It's just a little tit for tat squabble. I call it the game of squabbling because it's just a lot of squabbling over like this and that. I didn't care very much. Throw a dragon and
I still watch clips.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I started
then,
rewatching Game of Thrones, and I'm remembering all these great characters that were just so much more entertaining than these new characters.
Yeah, they're dull.
Just like it's like, man, you guys are falling flat on this one, man. Like they had the same sort of like, I don't know, the same sort of. Like I don't know what it's rated, but it's definitely a mature show for sure. But
this one not so much.
This one's like no, it's like. Oh, he cut his head off because he called his sister's kids a whore. It's like, okay, cool. Like, you're a tough guy. We get it. But it doesn't add anything to the drama by doing that. Like, yeah, it causes some bickering between houses, right? It's just, I don't fucking care. Like, the political aspect of it is just so boring and dull, and it's not entertaining at all. Like, with Game of Thrones, you had this looming threat that everyone's going to get wiped off the face of the fucking earth. With the White Walkers and the army of the dead. It's like this. It's like what? Oh, your nephew killed her bastard son. Oh no, folks. Sorry. It's just like it's like fantasy Jerry Springer. It's like you just dress Jerry Springer in like LARPing clothes, and you got House of Dragons.
Yeah, it's a soap opera on wheels.
It's like, oh god, this is not cool or fun.
I was
watch.
Almost embarrassed when they finally introduced the wall with the the Winterfront defense, the Night's Watch, and a character goes there and he's talking to someone who's trying to be all cold and hard like they were on Game of Thrones, but you don't give a shit because. Bro, we were waiting for the winter to come all of Game of Thrones. Like, right. I know it's not coming. It ain't coming anytime soon.
Right,
so
it didn't
what
happen.
am I, why even bother showing it? Why even act like there's tension there? Like, everyone already knows. That's why fucking prequels, dude. It's such a weak, cheap move. But so, yeah. What were you saying? We're watching something, David?
I was gonna say it's talking about Game of Thrones. I still see Game of Thrones shorts on like YouTube, and I've actually been kind of
all the
like
time. That's why I
watching
started
through
rewatching
them
it
the
because I was like,
last like
man, these
few
character
weeks.
combinations were so great.
They're so good, like from the start of the show, like just the characters, the dialogue, like the all the writing and everything
Hmm.
was just so well done. I tried to read the books, but I got through about, I think I finished the first one and got into the second one, and they're just really hard to follow because there's so many characters and there's so much stuff that's going on with, Tywin, son of Tyrion, son of
Yeah.
Hmm.
Gloin, and Gimli, and something about Frodo and the rings, and it just ends up getting a little bit too much for me.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just really
You
hard
know,
to get lost.
it's
But
hard enough
the
to
show does a good, yeah.
One thing, not to change the subject completely, but I did play a game, between our Baldur's Gate times, David. The
Respect.
sequel to a game that I liked that probably is not very popular, but
Senua.
whatever. Yeah, I played the second one.
Yeah. It's like a
And
5-hour game for $70.
Yeah,
70,
I
was it
heard the price was a
$70?
I don't know.
little.
That's what I
It's
heard.
actually
Yeah.
cheap. It's like 45 bucks.
Oh,
It's like
is it? Okay.
not a,
Oh.
no, they the first game I think was even less than that. Like
Yeah, it
it's
was
not an
30
expensive
maybe.
game. Yeah, and
Mm.
the game for me, what I like about it, what I take from it is that it's kind of like how you were describing The Bear, that show where the cinematography and the stories that unfold are unique and fun to watch. It's like the game isn't itself extremely intuitive, like I would say Baldur's Gate is, where you have s- you have you know so much content to absorb. While this game is very pointed. It's talking about one person and the stuff that she's dealing with, and
It's not very
the
involved.
and what I mean by that is like you're not having to solve
Well,
like a bunch of
not
fucking
a lot
Zelda
of not a lot of
puzzles, and you're not
gameplay.
having to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
mid max your stats and the levels
Oh,
and all this
it's
stuff.
not
Like
very elaborate. Okay. Gotcha,
yeah, and
gotcha.
you're basically just kind of walked through this very elaborate and very kind of a beautiful environment, a story. It just kind of takes you on this journey, and you're just kind of watching it unfold. And the scenery is great. The music is always. I always loved the music in that game. And talk about anxiety. Like there are moments in that game that give you so much anxiety because it's like you don't know what's coming or what's coming after you, but you can't see it, and you're just like, "What the fuck?" And you hear those constant voices in your head saying you're gonna fail or you're gonna die or watch out behind you. Like it was always a
Well,
little
that's the
fun
whole
Because
to
they
play
like,
that kind
I
of
don't want to
game.
say gimmick of the game, but isn't it the whole thing is it's supposed to be the mind of someone who has like schizophrenia, like they had
yes.
a
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
psychologist that was a part of the team, and yeah.
Well, she's essentially has from a young age she was kind of fucked over in a way. Her mom had this supposedly the same disease, and so she was kind of labeled as someone who would get it as well, and she inevitably did. But it came to her after her husband died, and she lost her mind, essentially trying to bring him back. She went to the gates of hell to save his soul, essentially. And in this one, it has nothing to do with that part of the story. It's a whole and again, that's why I love sequels because it's expanding on a universe that and it has nothing to do
Right,
with the
yeah.
past. It's just
But
talking about what's happening right
Wesley,
now.
don't you want to meet the husband and find out
No,
how
I
he died?
don't.
How did she get the face painting on her face,
Ugh,
Wesley? What do
so
those
bad.
markings
what were
mean?
her
We're going to
parents
need to
doing
spend
before
at
she
least
was
10
born?
hours to.
And
And
again,
then the
like,
whole time
okay.
too, they can foreshadow the husband's death. Like you don't know what's going to happen. It's like
Oh
one
wow.
day I might not be here. I was like, oh, I want a fucking
Well, and that's what I loved about the
revelation
game.
here.
That
Thanks.
it's a new story, a new land, new people, and you're dealing with weird giants. And while they may look like something you would see in like an Elden Ring game and a boss you would fight, you don't fight them directly. You mostly fight them indirectly by learning like their story and how they became who they are. And you kind of almost like try and understand their plight, what caused them to run amok. and usually it was some form of betrayal or something that traumatic that happened to them in their past, and you kind of get these small little chapters within this game, and it's a lot of fun. The puzzles weren't super complicated, but they were very um, mesmerizing to do and interesting to watch. It's a game that you can just kind of, it's like taking a nice walk through a place you've never been and talk, and you kind of get immersed, and you can almost kind of forget that you're playing a game. You're
Yeah.
kind of just walking through a story.
But it's not a walking sim.
No, and as linear as it may seem, the scenery is always changing. And it was, I think it was well done, and it may not be a game that's well received by most people, but it's only 10 hours. Like, you could obviously do a lot more, maybe stretch it out to maybe 15 by doing some certain things, but ultimately the game is like a 10-hour game.
Sometimes though, yeah. I mean, 10 hours isn't a bad experience either. I heard that people were complaining about the price for the amount of game that was given. But
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily means that a 5-hour game or a 10-hour game is bad. Like that could be a very good experience where it's not
And
full.
that's what
Like,
I took from it.
imagine if they would have taken that game, Wesley, and then they would have just like, hey, it's a 60-hour game. Here's an overworld map. Here's 5 different places where you can play a
Already I'm
flute to
losing
increase
interest.
your
Yeah,
health.
you want a battle royale.
And here's 10 collectibles. And it's just like, okay, well, none of this is necessary for me to enjoy this game. I just want
I don't need a
the,
quest marker to know where I'm going. Thank you.
Right,
Thank you for
right, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, sometimes content is
Mm.
not of value just because it's there. It's just watering down an experience most of the time.
Yeah. And I thought that was what made it good to me, was even the first game wasn't that long. It was a little more intense, maybe a lot more fighting, a lot grimmer. I definitely would say that the first one is better. This one might be not seem as good, but it was definitely good, and I thought they did a good job with the cinematography of it. And I think it was beautifully done. And I don't think
Oh, good.
I don't know. Maybe it won't get as just desserts, but I enjoyed it. So if people want to play it, I think they should. It's not expensive. It might be a little more expensive for the amount of game if that's how you value games, but to each their own.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Well, some games are nothing but replay value, and they have nothing else to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
All
cool.
right. Well, I think that's going to be it for tonight.
Oh man, I was going to talk about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F.
Oh man. Oh,
we can do more.
Oh,
Save that for next time.
Quick, play the.
There's nothing to
play
say.
the music. Oh no.
The whole fucking movie's just remember what? Remember that from the old movie?
No, I'm down to talk about it, man. Let's. Yeah.
Oh, I'm Axel Foley. Remember that? Remember Axel Foley?
God.
All right. That's
well,
it.
you two have a good night. Thanks so much for joining us, 2 guys, 1 guy. Appreciate it. Have a great week. We'll be here next week to talk about Beverly Hills
no, we won't.
ninjas and cops and and see you guys next time.
Yeah, see ya.
Peace.